Hey guys, this is Kid Brave. So I got some amazing news for you guys. I actually ended up writing a blog slash article about the best deck. No, I'm kidding. But I ended up writing about Magical Muskets. The deck is just absolutely amazing. So I ended up writing an article on Yugi Pro deck. First time actually ever writing on here. I just stumbled across it, honestly, just doing a random Google search, and I was like, this is actually pretty dope. And I looked further into it and I said, whoa, you can actually vent about a deck that you really like, or a meta deck that you feel like is really good, or like I'm doing, a rogue deck that I feel definitely deserves its stripes as far as for being a contender, playing against meta decks and being on that big stage to be able to beat against meta decks. So I just wanted to just really vent to you guys and just kind of give you guys a breakdown as far as for my approach with my Magical Musket deck. As you guys that have been with me for a good minute, I absolutely love the archetype. Currently, I've been just blasting my YouTube channel up with just tons of content about it. So this is, I think, a great way for you guys to see, one, the deck list, and also be able to check out my approach and mindset with the deck. So let's go further down and be able to just take a look at the deck and just see what you guys think, how you guys like it, and just really just give me you guys' opinion about it. Just realized that I repeated myself twice. Sorry about that, guys. Still getting better at the video and just being able to just chat and just talk. So without, I guess, speaking out loud about it, I ended up writing my article about it. I don't want to end up verbatim go off of what I ended up exactly writing, but what I'll do is I'll definitely give you guys a synopsis through the deck list and be able to just talk all about it as we go on with me showing you guys the deck list. So if you go further down, this is actually some content that I ended up posting recently on my YouTube channel. It was an amazing duel, and it was honestly tremendously fun and educational on me learning about the deck. So if you guys haven't seen that content, please go onto my YouTube channel. Check around all my videos on my YouTube channel and just take a look at this video. I know this video will be on YouTube, so it didn't make sense with that comment, but we're gonna just skip by that and just continue to just carry on. All right, so here is the deck list, the holy grail, the cream of the cream. All right, so let's just go with the first monsters, and I'm just gonna go down the list, but I might jump around just to kind of give you guys my approach on what cards are what and why they're good, but I'll still try to stay on target with being able to talk about the cards, the deck list that's here. All right, so we got the first card, which is Casper. Casper is really a card that you really want to see open up every single duel. It literally allows you to be able to search a Magical Musket card from your deck to your hand, and it could be any. So it's literally like Stratos for heroes. It's just an amazing card. Next card is Doc. Doc is honestly your mid to late game monster. He literally allows you to be able to synergize your spells and hand traps to from the graveyard to your hand. So if you run out of Docs in your deck or in your to be able to run, you're really going to lose the game because you can't survive mid to late game without him. Kid Brave, he basically is a walking pot of greed for the deck. All you have to do is just discard one Magical Musket card from your hand and you get to draw two, so it's literally a free +1. I wish you could discard any card, but I guess Konami wants you to fight for your wins, which is cool. But that's his effect, and it's still amazing. All right, so the last monster we got for Magical Muskets is Starfire. She's absolutely amazing. She literally gets you to be able to combo off to going into Verde and popping off with Dragoons. And if you guys don't know, you guys can definitely take a look at my current content. I literally use that combo all the time, and it's stupid fun, stupid easy, yeah. you know, you guys will definitely see it in person, like how she's able to do that. And then we just got the generic cards, Dark Magician and Red Eyes for the Verde combo. We got Phantasme. Phantasme is an amazing card. He basically allows me to be able to reset my hands. I think the biggest thing, the hardest thing for Magical Musket players to be able to pop off is having a Magical Musket card, Magical Musket monster in hand to be able to combo off and pop off. If you don't have that starting off in your hand, then you're not really going to be able to play Yu-Gi-Oh! So with a ton of decks running Link monsters, he's literally a perfect card to be able to run in the deck, and he helps you not having your monster get popped for a target targeting a monster. So it's really a win-win for this card. So I definitely have to run it at 3. I absolutely love it. The next card is going to be Red Eyes Fusion. Absolutely amazing card. You guys already know about it though. And just leave me a comment down below actually if you guys think that this should get hit, if Verde should get hit, or if Dragoon should get hit. I'm very curious on what you guys think. So leave that comment down below. Alright. So the next cards that we got is Dark Ruler No More, and we got Droplets. So let's just take a minute to just kind of just talk about these two cards. Dark Ruler No More is amazing. As you guys pretty much already know, if you guys don't, it basically allows you to turn off your opponent's monster's effects, especially if they're playing like an OTK type of deck or FTK type of deck. It definitely is going to turn all their stuff off, and with Magical Muskets, we benefit insanely with your opponent's monsters not being able to negate or interrupt your combos off of the monsters that you're going to be summoning and activating as far as your spells and traps. Magical Musketeer Max literally gains an infinite amount of cards from it, either adding or summoning. And basically what his effect is, and like I told you guys, I'm gonna be jumping around, so hope you guys like that because it kind of just keeps me on track as I continue to talk about the cards, because I just want to definitely give you guys the breakdown of my approach and what cards do without having to revisit it, and just having you guys ultimately just know exactly where my approach is with each individual card as I go on. So Magical Musket's effect basically allows me to gain cards depending on what my opponent has on the field. Typically this format, I think that most decks are usually more of a monster variant summoning type of format versus a set 5 and pass control type of format. So Magical Musket typically, or Magical Max, let's just call him Max, is going to benefit a ton from being able to get your spells and traps to your hands. So Dark Ruler No More is definitely amazing for this format. Droplet is too. I like it when you pretty much drop one of your Musket monsters and then you activate any of your spells or traps that's in your deck, and they try to interrupt you with trying to pop your musket. I absolutely love it when I have Droplet in hand, because I can literally use this quick play effect to be able to just drop from hand and be able to negate that monster's effect or any other monsters. So really all you really need is just a musket monster, especially if they have a ton of interruptions or negates on the board, and just literally proceed to just pop off. Instant Fusion is a pretty staple card. I mainly use it for Millennium Eyes or Thousand Eyes, really to just be able to save myself from a hand trap if I do have a card that I can literally add to be able to out basically cards like, you know, Ash and cards of that nature. You know, any hand traps really that just literally stop me in my track from being able to gain momentum. And then Thousand Eye is literally a card that allows me to force out a negate from my opponent. And if they don't have anything, it's literally a 2-card win, because if they do have a monster in the link zone, I can just summon Anima, sending off Thousand Eye, and just literally take care of 2 problematic monsters. Like, like that. So I absolutely love Instant Fusion, and it literally allows any of my Magical Monsters effect to pop off, so it's definitely a plus. Cross Dom is absolutely amazing. It's literally Imperm on crack. You know, I can negate my opponent's monster's effect, and I can literally put it to 0. I think the best way to use Cross Dom is when you activate it during the battle phase, where your opponent declares an attack, you get to battle phase, and then you activate Cross Dom. The only card that literally allows your opponent to reset their attack is if I am special summoning using Starfire's effect. But Casper, Doc, or Kid Brave still forces your opponent to carry out their battle and to have them literally destroy their opponent's monster because, you know, they're going to be at 0. So it's an insane card. I think personally it's the best hand trap card for the Magical Musket archetype. I absolutely love it. You know, so using it, I think that approach with that way for the most part is definitely, I think, the way to go. But you can of course use it any other ways. As long as you're pretty much running a musket in hand and Cross Dom, you can really do some nutty stuff. So the next card that you literally need to have in the deck is Prosperity. It's an insane card. It literally allows you to activate it during your main phase 2, just whenever, and it doesn't need to be in the beginning like Extravagance. Extravagance is a solid card, but you know, you have to use it in your main phase. If you activate Dark Merlin or more, you can't activate the card. And a lot of times you want to activate Dark Merlin or more first, and then you want to get the draws, because if you have a board full of negates, you're really going to end up losing that draw power with Extravagance. So Prosperity is absolutely amazing because I can use it anytime, and I can do it in any order of cards that I pretty much would be using to follow up with my combo plays. I know I'm saying a few cards that are stupid expensive, but I feel like these Prosperity and I feel like Droplet is an absolute must card to run in the deck, because you're going to literally be able to break boards and to be able to win. Like my win ratio, like no lie, against meta and rogue is probably like a 90%. Like literally most of the duels I open up with this card, or I open up with Dark Merlin or more, or open up with Instant Fusion, or open up with my hand traps. That's literally going to allow me to bait out 2 negates, and then I can just go off and just get more of it because I'm going to get into max, which, man, we're going to talk about him in a second because his effects are amazing. So the next cards that I have is pretty much Crooked Clown. This card is amazing. It literally allows me to be able to go into Verde and Akana with Starfire, because that's typically what I want to go into and be able to combo off that way. Okay, so Dancing Needle is one of those situational type of cards that you don't necessarily need to run in this deck. I personally like it because it's a DD Crow on crack. I can literally banish 3 monsters from my opponent's graveyard. And I feel like this format, it literally runs a ton of their strategy in the graveyard. So I think that this card is literally like a must to like run. The other card I would recommend, if you don't think that this is something that you feel is the way that the format is you can run Devilish Fiend, which is a card that allows you, and don't quote me on that, I believe that's the name of it. I can't remember if that's exact, you know, name, but it's something like this, like Devilish Fiend or something like that. But it allows you to be able to protect your monsters from being destroyed. So a monster like Dragoons is going to have to attack over you, so you're going to allow your opponent to use its battle phase instead of, you know, having Dragoons be able to pop your monsters, which is amazing. And then any other cards and whatnot that negates and destroys that card, Devilish Fiendish, is going to protect your monsters from being destroyed. It will negate, but it won't be destroyed, which is amazing because you want to have that presence of your magical monsters on board. So, you know, it's got its wins and losses to it, you know, depending on how you approach it on replacing Dancing Needle for that card. So it's just a kind of a personal preference for the player, and what they feel that they like. So the next card I have is Last Stand. Absolutely amazing. It literally negates any spell or trap card because it's a counter trap. So it's literally going to save your butt in so many different ways. If someone drops Dark Ruin or drop Blitz on you, and it goes through, you're going to probably be in trouble if it's a combo deck because it turns off the Magical Muskets, which allows you not to be able to use your Magical Musket spells and traps. So this card is absolutely amazing. And another approach you can kind of look at it too is if you have a Magical Musket already established and you're trying to go into like Max or something, you can activate Last Stand to negate like a Solemn Warning or Solemn Judgment. Because when they activate it, you can literally counter to that and activate Last Stand. So it's really a really good card. I definitely highly recommend at least running it at 2. You could run 3, but I feel like it's too cloggy at 3, so I like to see it at 2, and it's been pretty consistent for me, so I kept it at that. Alright, so the next card is Desperado. This card is literally a free pop. Anything that's face up against your opponent's on your opponent's field, it's gonna allow you to be able to pop it. And honestly, in the next coming days, I'm planning on posting up a Mystic Mind duel with like a bundle of other duels that I pretty much like play against, as far as for like rage quitters. This card literally ended up making a Mystic Mind player rage quit. He literally had 3 ways of being able to get into their Mystic Mind. I can't remember if they activated 2 and then they activated the 1 spell card that allows them to activate a field spell by you being able to special summon a monster, or if they just straight out activated Mystic Bond 3 times. And I literally ended up outing it all with Desperado, and I think one time I ended up using Last Stand. So Desperado, in the sense, is an absolutely amazing card. I would run 3, just because it's a free pop. It's a free problematic monster removal, and you can't go wrong with it. And then another staple card is Infinite Impermanence. It's so good going against your opponent with them going first, or with you being on your turn and you being able to try to break your opponent's board. This is just like an easy out as far as for negating your opponent's monsters. So you definitely want to run this card. It's so fun, so easy, and you can set it too underneath one of your musket monsters and be able to pop off their effects. On top of it, be able to negate your opponent's monster effect. And if they don't know magical muskets, sometimes you'll see your opponent activating their spells and traps underneath your magical musket and having impermanence. You're pretty much going to get a double whammy with negating their opponent's monster's effects and spells and traps. So it's a really good card for sure. It's got multiple approaches as far as for you being successful using it. And as you guys ended up hearing before, Millennium Eye and Thousand Eye, you guys pretty much already know the approach with that now. Dragoons is a staple card. I pretty much just send Dark Magician, Red Eyes, and Red Eyes Fusion for them. Constellar, Hyades, he's pretty good. I don't really summon him too much because you need 3 level 3 monsters, and that's not really too easy to do in the deck. So you want to use this card as far as for like it being kind of like a situational type of situation, in the sense of like if you're trying to bait out one of your opponent's like negates, this card would be good, but I feel like you would be losing more than gaining. So this card is very situational. Really it's good if you don't see yourself playing against a heavy link deck because it puts the monster face down, and a deck with like tons of negates. This card would be like absolutely amazing to like run. Currently in this format, it honestly runs a lot of interruptions or negates, so he's very situational, but I like it. It's a good card if you need it, in a pinch. Break Sword is honestly a really good card too. I think he's absolutely amazing with running that trap I told you about, the Devilish Fiend, where it protects your monsters from being destroyed, because you can summon him, target one of your magical musket monsters, it won't be destroyed, and then you can literally get a free pop on your opponent's side of the field. I've honestly thought about replacing him with Acid Golem, because he's a heavy beater at 3k, so you can literally like crash into like a Dragoons or something like that. And all you really need to do is just remove one material to be able to have it attack. So I'm debating if I want to switch, Breaker Sword with that dude, Acid Golem. Acid Golem. So we'll see. I'm still kind of play testing. I haven't really seen too many play from Break Sword, so I'm not sure if I like it or not. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. If you don't like Break Sword, you can replace it with that. All right, Verde Anaconda is a pretty staple card. You already know what he does. Phoenix, staple card. Link Regal, staple card. Unicorn, staple. So this card has honestly got a little spice to it. If I'm playing against a back row deck, this card is absolutely insane, because what it does is it allows me to be able to pretty much summon a magical musket, go into Max. Max will allow me to special summon as many monsters as they do with spells and traps on their field. And then from there, being able to link climb up into him and then pop banish, their whole back row. And that combination is possible through this card right here. It basically allows me to turn off the ability of my opponent to be able to activate their spells and traps that are face down. So I would activate this first on a musket. Musket would end up having their effects go off depending on what I have. And then you can end up going into Max. Max would end up special summoning their monsters. And then from there, you can end up going into this dude. And then just pretty much really blow out your opponent, especially if they're like heavy control deck. So this card is really amazing. Next card is Access Code Talker, staple card. Max, I pretty much gave you guys kind of his approach. Really what he does is he gains cards depending on like what your opponent has. If they have a ton of spells and traps, then you're going to be able to special summon a ton of monsters. If they have a ton of monsters, you're going to be able to add a bunch of spells and traps. So I typically add a bunch of spells and traps to my hand because I'm mainly playing a lot of decks that summon a whole bunch of monsters. Max will be able to gain that amount of monsters that they have on the field to the hand, getting spells and traps. And then Anima, you pretty much already know his approach, so that's why I pretty much have him, for me to be able to kind of just suck up my opponent's monster and to be able to kind of just proceed to kind of break their board. So let's dive into the side deck now. So Pankratops is a really good card. It's kind of like a 2-for-1 because you can summon him because he said, if I'm going second, and I can literally run over my opponent's monsters, or I can pop. Magical muskets don't really have high attack, so he's really perfect for me to be able to kind of just kill 2 birds with 1 stone, attack over a heavy beater, or be able to pop it, and then be able to do plays from there. Because he's not wasting my normal summon, so I could be able to special summon and then normal summon the musket and then kind of just work from there. Alright, so Droll and Lockbird, he's honestly been around relevant, in the format for a minute, a few formats honestly. And I think Droll and Lockbird is the most powerfulest hand trap card, I guess, in my opinion, for this format, so that's why I'm running it. I think it's a little bit more relevant than Ash. I mean, Ash is a little bit more universal, but I feel like if you Ash wrong, then like you're kind of just screwed. But if you end up having Droll and you stop your opponent from adding cards, like that can literally like end their turn. So I think that this card is really, really good in the format currently right now. And Kaijus, I'm a huge fan of Kaijus right now over Nib, just because you could literally end people's turns. Like Kaijus is amazing against Salamangreats, amazing against Sky Strikers. It's even amazing against like a heavy combo deck. You can replace him with like a nasty like Warlord Savage or something like that, and be able to get rid of him and be able to go off with your Magical Musket regular plays, like of your combos and stuff. Or if you're running into a monster that literally says it's unaffected by any cards, like Magical Muskets have a tremendous hard time to out monsters like that. So Kaijus would definitely be perfect for you to be able to get rid of monsters like that. Ghost Belle, she's pretty much a staple, I think, in either a main or a side deck. I'm side decking her just because the cards that I have in the main, I think, literally hits most of the meta. And Ghost Belle, I think, really hits the rest of the side of the meta that I may not be able to hit necessarily off of like combos. So I think that she's definitely a must in the side, so that's why I have her. You guys already know what this card does and my approach with that. And then we just have two more back row removals, Harpy's Feather Duster and Red Reboot. So my whole approach with the extra deck was basically for me to be able to use my 6-hand traps and to stop my opponent depending on what it is they're doing, or have my monster removals, Pankratops, or Kaijus, which is going to be, I think, more than enough, especially with Desperado running around, and Permanence running around, Droplet, and Dark Amours. So having these four, I think, is going to end up definitely being helpful depending on what it is that I've played game 2 and 3. And then with the format being, I think, heavy on monster summoning, I definitely know that it's just smart to have back row hate. So I have these 5 cards here to like side in to be able to literally just shut down back row and be able to summon my boss monster, to be able to like banish all their stuff from the back row. So it's really an approach from the side deck off of having monster removal and back row hate cards to be able to really just stop them. So anyway, guys, this is really like my whole breakdown approach as far as for the whole deck list, which I know some of you guys have been asking about, and really just my approach towards this current format right now. Like you can see my ratio of 9 traps, 17 monsters, 14 spells, and yeah. And I did fail to say that I actually posted this up like a week ago on July 31st, but I got 400 views and 4 comments. I'm tremendously happy to get that. This is literally my first time posting something like that on this platform, and I got this number from posting my first deck profile. So I would assume that 400 people looking, this deck list is definitely, I think, pretty solid, and I think a good handful of people can definitely back up it being a unique Magical Musket deck profile, deck list, and it being low-key a sleeper deck, if you guys know how the deck works. Feel free to definitely, steal my deck profile and be able to kind of just mess around, play around with it, and just see if you guys like it or not. Tweak it, change it, however you guys want to go about it. If you guys do want to take this deck list and kind of just play around with it and tweak it to your personal style, I definitely give you guys, full access to that. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it, guys. I love you so much. Thank you so much for taking the time to just listen to this intro video. I love you, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. All right, peace.